This is Kessben 93.3 FM, a new wave of excellence in radio.
Mama nyina akwa babiom Awal Mohammed mama chance free ho na you dey free ho quickly.
So Joe, someone asked say Kotoko in Africa 2002 with the CAF Cup Winners Cup no coach is saying no mo use here Kotoko Shasia with Ernst Middendorp ebo Atletico Sonangol home and away and ebo Santos home and away before say Oko Ian Potterfield ebo Gazelle El Mahala only one game and left. Rav Zundik came and took over in the rest of the games. Second leg Gazelle El Mahala, semi-finals against ES Police, and then the finals eventually against WAC of Morocco. So Kotoko used 3 coaches within that tournament now. Kotoko went into the finals. Eko lose against WAC. In 2006, beko your first World Cup. Ball qualifiers. Now qualifiers no say you oka the prelims no and the group stage games ni na buma. Ubenya 12 games are your boy because ye ne Somalia ebo prelims those 2 matches ni na eba so Ghana ha ye show mu 5-0 ewa Accra. I remember Isaac Boachi was on 2 occasions was oshe ena Nana Indian so she on 2 occasions ena Stephen Apia e be show mu 2-0 ewo Kumasi a ena ewure mu into the group stage na ye was South Africa, DR Congo, Uganda, Burkina Faso and Kessben. So in the group stage ye bought 10 games ena ewuremu into the World Cup na ye qualify no na so obekaya ye the 4 coaches ena board that way no because Rav Zundik started, Mariano Barreto came, the late Sam Ade played only 1 game which happens to be the DR Congo game na ye born wa babayara ewa ha before so Ratome Dukovic ye friend Duya ebe take over the last 5 games of the group stages no by no the first press conference no see be here 13 points because you bought the first 5 matches near only 8 points near 2 wins against Kessben and then you another win against South Africa and 2 draws Uganda and then DR Congo and lose against Burkina Faso. Now the 5 games now or make sure say yes you at the 13 points because you could board draw DR Congo and you share the rest of the games ningina because you share Burkina, you share South Africa, you share Uganda ewaha and you share Kessben. So these were the number of matches now your boy en route to our World Cup. You appear the first time no. So Joe Obinsu Bisa said the fastest boxing knockout. So Joe Batuno eba su 1994. Daniel Jimenez ebu Gerald Geyer from Austria. Na Sejo about to know A&D only in 17 seconds. And at the knockout no by. So this happens to be the fastest knockout ever within the history of boxing bout bia. Na a WBO super bantamweight bouter. So between these 2 boxers, Daniel Jimenez and then Harold Geyer. So Nipakono epe omo that fastest bout na fastest knockout in the history of the bout na and you know. Sejo with set World Cup ma continents bia se opportunity host to so bekaya after say Morocco lose to France or the 1998 hosting slot no in 2002 Japan and Korea co-hosted the competition. South Africa LUC the hosting rights to Germany in 2006. Now so bekaya in 2004 na se Blataka se World Cup no 2010 je no baba so Africa. So se onye Africa nation bia men apply for the bidding rights. Now in 2007 and FIFA decided said the omobe relocate and also omobe allotted the hosting right to various continents said you more abandon so that happens to be Adia ni Pakono Ebisan from 2007 eba FIFA say ye ma we toa so akọwe na debi omo jaisa. Yes Obinsu Bisa said the numbers in the World Cup. First World Cup there more qualification in 1930 Uruguay. It was set off an invitational tournament. So only 13 teams participate here. The next World Cup a course Italy in 1934 and yenya qualifiers. So from that way no yenya 16 teams. So from 1934 to 1978 next 16 teams participate. And then 1982 any increase the numbers from 16 to 24. So yeko Spain in 1982 na numbers 24. So from 1982 in Spain to the last World Cup of 1994 USA and also nya 24 teams. So 1998 France and yesa expanded the number of the participants no from 24 to 32 and ekoye. So the next World Cup baso after Qatar 2022 or Qatar 2022 no 2026 yebenya 3 countries omobeka boom aku hosti, which happens to be Mexico, United States of America and Canada. So and also ebeko 48 from 32. But Joe, within those years, there were some numbers, there were some years, yenya the absolute figure na yepeno. For example, in 1938, Austria withdrew from the World Cup after qualifying because they merged their team with Germany, and that was the reason that accounted for that. Another example was in 1950, Brazil. 3 countries after some qualify, withdraw. India withdrew, Turkey withdrew, and then Scotland so withdrew. So yeah, the definite number which was 69 na here the tournament. No. Apart from that, so may come other question. Obi bisa say yenya UEFA Champions League final. Less fancied leagues na low ranked teams, low ranked leagues Europe. Omu teams into the finals biana. Say you yenya some examples. In 1966. When Real Madrid were defeating Partizan Belgrade of Serbia or Yugoslavia then time. Yugoslavia is one of the less fancied leagues then time. So Partizan Belgrade any opportunity echo into the finals. In 1971, a team from Greece, Panathinaikos, were in the finals, only losing to Ajax Amsterdam. 7 years later, in 1978, Yenya Club Brugge from Belgium, when they were losing to Liverpool. The following year, Malmo FF, a team from Sweden, so Eluzu against Nottingham Forest. In 1986, it was Sevilla. It was Star Bucharest from Romania. I know defeated Barcelona in 1986 finals. FK Kvena Zvezda. But then time near from Red Star Belgrade in 1991, they were the finalists and then the eventual champions. They defeated AC Milan and won. So these are the clubs. I say free less fancied leagues. Europa enya kwan ewremu into the UEFA Champions League final. My last one, Obi bisa say yellow and red cards. How did it came in football? How did it come in football? Yeah, and the thing is, Sergio. In 1962, you were the game BIFNO, the Battle of Santiago. The Battle of Santiago. Because in 1962, Chile and hosted the competition. This is the background. Italy and then Chile, the host nation, Asia. It was a group game. Now, prior to 1962, no Seju, in 1960, one of the earthquakes I see with and in history of earthquakes, almost say the most like earthquake a more dimpa see Chile. So when Chile had the opportunity to host the World Cup in 1962, there were 2 Italian journalists, Biseju, Antonio Girelli and then Corrado Pizzinelli. Omokoka Asembi said Chile a dumping ground where phones don't work, where taxis are rare like faithful husbands. So the Chileans also fired back. These journalists were made to leave the country. And said the Chileans also fired back. Say Italians are drug addicts because now before the tournament there were Italian players say you suspect you in doping scandal. They are fascists, they are Italian mafiosos. And when these two sides met, referee on that day was Ken Aston. Ken Aston was a referee. He was born in 1915. Obey a soldier. In the Second World War, he was part of the British soldiers now, a participant. So in 1953, decided to obey referee. And then in 1962, on your opportunity, say, obey officiate, the World Cup, course, Chile. But say, Joe, now, say, obi kiki player, now, obe show kada, untimi bibia, because now there was nothing to show. And yebo game no between Chile and Italy, no, so on commanded the language now, these two sides, no. So you just have to call the police for them to kick those players out. 2 players on that day were red carded. Mario those 2 players were also Italian players. Giancarlo Ferrini and then Mario were all red carded on that day. So Sergio, in the late 1960s, Ken Aston, he was just walking along the streets and drew taxi. Drew a traffic light. Decided to say, why can't we use these colors? Say best serve as a universal language in football. So Sergio, in 1970, and officially, yellow card and then red card were introduced in football, which happens to be the 1970 Mexico hosting World Cup. No, that was when officially it was introduced.
On the traffic light.
Like he was working at Ken Aston, Refina or officiated that day in that 1962 game Battle of Santiago. No, because of Nema Esie, who say or English. So on commanded the language are not Italians, any the Chileans, So big key play on team pam player and just on my referees or my police, ebe walkie the player off. So now he was walking along the traffic light. And a man idea say why can't we pick these two colors? Say best as universal language in football. Now say ye colors me yellow and red. Say yellow chire wa nature say ye mau caution no, but ye red and nature say ye pamo every the pitch no. So based on ebia idea on the pitch no. So in 1970 and officially and they introduce you. Or no referee no Ken Aston in 1966 by that time no retire. Until no ye part of the refereeing committee for the FIFA World Cup now England hostie. So no day that idea no buy. And then in 1970 we had yellow and red card officially introduced in football, Seju.
All right, Awal Mohammed, no.